Hello everybody, my name is Squaggy, and we are back with another question time. I've uploaded a lot more this week, haven't I? Don't get used to that. Today we're going to be talking about relapsing. Frequently, in TCGs, most people say, I quit, I'm never coming back, and then they come back, taking an extended break from either format to format or format to reboot in our case. So today I asked all of you, what got you back into Vanguard? And for me, unfortunately, it's this guy. Learning that Shiranui had a sealed product that you could buy and play out of the box made me so excited. Because to me, I was like, that's the domination guy. I saw him on TV when I was a kid. So I had to pick him up. I just didn't realize that he was top meta threat and disgusting and nobody liked playing against him. But he did get me back in. So let's see what you guys came up with. Imagi said, maybe PBD. I honestly just wouldn't have come back if my friends didn't decide to try it out, so you can thank them for me being back into Vanguard, and we appreciate them because if not for them, we wouldn't have Imagoon. I probably have a lot more money too, but hey, I would have been a lot less happier as well. The real ones remember this art. And this is just a beautiful piece of Phantom Blaster Dragon. As it turns out, encounter decks, very needed. It helps bring back a lot of the older player base who gets isolated from the game because they don't recognize anything, but once they see a familiar face, they are more willing to engage with it. And having friends who feel the same way will definitely encourage you back into the game as well. Everyday Sheriff's video gets more and more vindicated. And I'm just gonna leave this up here for a bit, just admire this piece of art. HolyFire69 says, this mofo. Kudos to my friend from university who brought my ass back to liking the game again. Another case of having a friend who already plays Vanguard, and then what does the new player do? They pick up a trial deck. The Youthberk, Leonord, and Drajeweled trial decks are pretty well designed. At least from a business standpoint, you force those new players to buy the new shiny forms in the new set. But at least for new players as well, they at least got to try the game in some capacity, with like skills and shit. Why did we stop doing that? Not only that, the trial decks were pretty affordable. They weren't like $60 master deck sets. I think that kind of thing really does help to get players back into the game, not having a overwhelming price tag. Hi Kyle Arif 2, who is the Malaysian WGP Season 3 champion, said to God I'd quit Vanguard if I didn't win any of the last few upcoming events, won WGP a week later. Well, that must be nice. I'm waiting for my turn. Avalon Accessories says, this pair brought my love for Vanguard back. Eva/Obby felt like future craze sci-fi Blaster Blade and Alfred, and used my favorite mechanic, Royal Paladin targeted superior call. Obby is literally just guts from Berserk, and Eva is Freyren, both some of my favorite franchises. So this is something I found out a lot doing this thread. A lot of you people came back because you liked Eva. I'm not sure if it's because sex sells, or because you really like the lore, or because Eva's gameplay is immaculate. But whatever the case is, apparently you have a lot to thank Eva for in this game. If you've ever seen those Sibyl or Gabrielius plushies online, that's Avalon Accessories. They made those. You have them to thank. You have Eva to thank for the fact that you can cuddle Sibyl to sleep in real life. And isn't that something worth celebrating? Hunter Surge says, started in JP BT03 and I fell off a bit after V Cosidas release. Dabbled briefly in D but hated how bad guarding felt. Divine Sea and the deck shifts that came with it, such as much better defensive generics and decks like Android and Velano, finally got me back in full time. As it turns out, if your player can play the game during the guard step, they will have more fun. I wonder if we could do something with that. Started during Link Joker, played until the end of G, played on and off on CFA during V, started playing physically again during Overdress. This game is a prison. True. Past Turn says, the lore kinda runs deep on this one, but one day I'll probably cover it. I bring this up even though Past Turn didn't tell me shit. But I bring this up because I think it highlights something cool about the start decks. They were kind of like Bushiroad's last straw, so they decided to do this cool thing where they make a good product. By the end of the V series, the game was in a pretty bad state. Shops didn't trust it, players didn't trust it. So how do you fix that? Well, you do a rare move and you make a good product. The start decks were not only cheap to buy, but they had 4 copies of every important card you needed. These really were ways you could start playing Vanguard. Not skillless stuff, not $65 master deck sets, but real product for people trying to learn and get into the format. I'm not sure what his individual lore is, but in any case, I can probably imagine that a lot of you guys got back in with these start decks like this. I actually tried playing Overdress when the trial decks came out again as well. I had a friend and we both picked up one trial deck. He picked up the Prison one, I picked up the Magnolia one, and I've hated Prison ever since. But at the very least, it was a good attempt to make starter product. And as it turns out, if you make good product for new players, you can get new players. Who would have thought? Kilma, but specifically this episode made me want to make an Acre Libra deck. I think for all the shit that we give the Vanguard anime, and to be fair, it deserves a lot of it, we can at least agree that it's effective advertising, right? You get people shipping the characters and liking the characters, and you get to watch the card game be played at a level that isn't fake. As in, like, it's not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where the games aren't super one-to-one with real life in the older formats. The games are pretty one-to-one with the real world. So at the very least, this is a nice way to bait people in. And it helps that there isn't a lot of competition right now. Card game anime is kind of in a rut, if I remember correctly. Vanguard is probably the biggest one right now, which is sad if you've watched the latest Divine Z season. But nevertheless, I'm glad that a hot man got you back into Vanguard. Then Bagus Danis says, stop playing just as the G era was released. I was still in elementary school. There's no way my parents will allow me money to buy such things. Came back as uni freshman because I found a local community. The locals community is such a big boon. It is so nice to go out and play a game with people just like you can know on and off or maybe get close to, and just have a good time of a shared enjoyment. And it's why Vanguard wants to grow. It has to keep getting new players so that local scenes keep thriving and people keep wanting to come back. And what I found out from a lot of other Southeast Asians in my replies is that you came back once you've got a disposable income. And hey, I'm not different. Ryas V said, what got me back into Vanguard was the decision to finally play the physical TCG. I stopped right in the middle of DBT 10 meta because of waning interest and came back at the beginning of the year, picked up Mygo, fell in love with, and have only played Bang Dream ever since. Unfortunately, this is the one kind of player who does justify the need for the collab decks that I do not like. I know a lot of people have attachment to the IPs in the collabs that Vanguard puts out, and this does get more players invested into the game. Whether or not it's a good thing that they end up playing, you know, Zoomer-wise Schwartz level decks is up to you to decide if that's a good thing or not. But at the very least, it just does mean there are a couple more players than we would have otherwise. And you have Ave Bushigat to thank for that, apparently. Man, apparently Anchor Bolt's gay dad couple is just really good at hooking in new players. How did they do that? Frost Lantern says, a certain Quagsire showed me Yuyute and I went, it's that expensive? Then my wallet emptied out of nowhere. Weirdest thing. That could have been anyone. You have to understand that anyone could have done that. Folks, if you're looking to get people back into Vanguard, the best thing you can possibly do is open up a marketplace in class and hope that the guy next to you looks at it and says, what the hell is that? That worked for me. Kire says, I played G era when I was a kid, but all my friends eventually outgrew the game and I got back into D era after my breakup and I needed something to get me back to living my own life. What solidified my decision to keep playing was Wellstra. As it turns out, getting broken up with does help you get back into Vanguard. I know this from personal experience, this does help. And again, the Anchorbot duo got another one back into Vanguard. Maybe these men are the key to Vanguard's future. LG Amaterasu says, D Reboot got me back in. Didn't have to deal with gifts and the worst card design known to man anymore. I'm pretty sure when we rebooted back to the V series, we lost a lot of players in the Vanguard community. But once we rebooted to Overdress, I feel like we've gotten a lot more players. I think that says something about how the series was run. At the very least, welcome back. The card design is much better here. He did it again! Taizo's episode on Divine Z Season 2. These Anchor Bolt men are just very good at getting in new players. That excellence is, I hope this gets into the video, but fine, just once. These boys got me back into the game after a long break. Plus Danji and Raika are such cool characters. I also put you in because you mentioned my friend Bruce. And Bruce is the reason I take this game very seriously. When I got back into Vanguard, it was about the time Divine Z was coming out soon. But I picked up Bruce because I thought he was the coolest thing ever in the anime. He was not very good, but he was very cool. So I share this kinship with you that Bruce got me really back into Vanguard. Dolphin Prime says, this guy is the reason why I came back. I'll have you know that for a lot of people, this guy is the reason why they started. There is a certain blue-haired individual who feels the same way. Lost my old Bermuda deck back in Legion era, kinda stopped playing for years, got back into it a year ago when I discovered a card shop in walking distance to my home. Got introduced to the standard, all the rule changes to catch up, and the most interesting deck I now main. Yes, local communities once more. Just having some proximity to a card shop really helps you get back into card games. And for what it's worth, Flam Glam is a really interesting deck. It's fast, its aesthetic is very different from most of the lyrical cast. The reset mechanic is just different enough to separate it from a lot of the other decks in the format. It's really interesting. I love Flam Glam, and it's one of the decks I recommend to new players a lot because it's really cheap. And if you looked at WGP Hiroshima, like 3 teams brought it. Now I'm not saying that all 3 teams had their Flam Glams go very well individually, but I am saying that a lot of people have a lot of attachment and they like bringing these to events. Bushiroad knocked it out of the park with this one. Please give us one more card. The announcement of V format simply because it was was them saying, hey, you can play this game without strides again. You might be the only person I know who doesn't like striding. Ever again, ever again. Brandgate just keeps getting new players into the game. This nation has like the craziest fishing rod for baiting in new players. And the best deck we can give them is Moe Flash Turbo. Come on. Dust Duet says, after the genius play of the dev saying it's all going according to plan, the Bruce dominating early D format, I had quit for a while. I think we should bring that back. The literal only thing that brought me back was the Chrono Jet Stride deck set, and Messiah and Shiranui came later, of course. I've given these Stride deck sets and Master deck sets a lot of shit because they're really expensive. But for a player who has already nostalgia invested in the IP, these are fine. It's a fine way to get new players in, and for what it's worth, the Chrono Jet Stride deck set is one of the coolest things ever. Look at how sick he looks in this art. Might be my favorite way Chrono Jet has ever looked. Don't at me. Okay, fine, this artwork is really cool for Chrono Jet as well. Cyan Renegade says, watch the anime until Overdress, then Will Dress came, and Youthberk's first appearance dropped at episode 3, and that was what made them want to play the game, and now here I am. Again, freaking Raika Koshiba Skyfall Executor trial deck box. You might as well give new players a way to play the game with the things they see in the anime. I'm always really shocked that none of the Divine Skill units got trial decks. Yes, I know they're supposed to be special, but come on, like, why not? It'd be like giving them the G-era trial decks. Give them like 2 in a deck. It'll be fine, please. Imagine being a new player wanting to play Reziel now. How are you gonna afford that? But with Youthberk, at least you have the trial deck. So please, give us a few more affordable ways to get into decks that you're advertising in your anime. You might as well. Every time he gets introduced into a format, he brings me right back in. The unfortunate truth is, Majesty Lore Blaster is cool as fuck, and I cannot blame you for that. Prison Gap says, I guess my childhood instincts? Everyone has this childhood need, I'm not sure if it's Freudian or innate, to just play a trading card game. Everyone has it, and the people who suppress it, they're psychos. Pick up a trading card deck, play One Piece or something, it's fun! F190 says, Vanguard 0 got me back into the game and eventually into the TCG. And a reply says, same here. It is almost like having a good simulator is a great entry point for new players to try out your game before they invest into paper product. But what do I know? I don't work at Bushiroad. Tails says, honestly, casual premium. Getting to try to break some silly card like Aggravane against others also trying to break silly cards, instead of striding turn 2 has been a very fun and a nice break from, I'm gonna jump through some hoops just to be another multi-attack deck. Design a lot of standard decks have fallen into as of recent. I've seen a lot of silly ideas like Blank/V-Reiji or Kratos plus Codex. So I guess I'll ask the question again, why did we X the premium format? Just keep it up. Like, the card design is so vastly different, you could print cards for both formats. At least let those players play the game. It's a great way to get people into the game to say, you can use these old cards and the game is super wacky and fun and explosive in this format. And this format's a bit more measured, it's like standard in Magic the Gathering or like a Hearthstone standard. Just such a strange decision. Turin says, I wouldn't say I came back because I never played the game before these series. Good. My friend showed me his 2 decks from G era and I wasn't very much intrigued, but more of my friends got into D and I got curious and I saw Drajeweled, and it's a deck I'm playing ever since its release. Unfortunately, despite how much I hate Drajeweld's play pattern these days, you cannot deny he has so much hype moments and aura that it does help get new players in. D2H says, I missed it. I don't know why I can't stay away. It doesn't feel as overwhelming as Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not overwhelming. Play Yu-Gi-Oh! Please. But yeah, I'm having fun collecting my expensive high rarity decks and playing Dear Days 2 on the Switch. You are like the perfect person Bushiroad wants. They want someone who just comes back to Vanguard, buys high rarity stuff and plays Dear Days. Mostly the Dear Days part, they really want you to play Dear Days. And it's cool to see that an official simulator does help people stay invested into the game, but couldn't you get more people invested into the game if more people could play your simulator at a price of free? Who's to say? Draco Senpai says, oh shit, well I haven't stopped playing since 2018 back in V. I don't know man, I just saw V format and said, sick dude. You might be the only person I know who says, oh shit, I love the V format. The only one on planet Earth, I think. So, what have we learned? Child deck formats, digital simulators, cool card art. All of these things are important to getting people into Vanguard. But apparently none of them are as important as Taizo and Welstra. Alright, see you guys next time.